A coffee shop, a local pub, a public park, society ka garden या टिंकू की टपरी. Your third place can be any of these or something else. But having one is considered increasingly important in today's time where loneliness and depression are the common adjectives used to describe one's everyday life. Hi guys, I'm Anisha and welcome back to my channel. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'm starting this new series on the channel called Just Another Conversation, where in each episode I want to pick up a topic and share my thoughts, my findings about it, and have it like an open conversation with you guys. And starting off strong for episode 1, we're going to talk about third places. This topic has been stuck in my mind for more than a month, and after I saw a video on YouTube about it. So, what is a third place? Let's start with that. Third place is a term coined by Ray Oldenburg, who was an urban sociologist. उन्होंने एक book लिखी थी called The Great Good Place, in which he described a third place and the importance of it in society. Why third? He explains that first place is home, our sanctuary, the place where we spend most of our time. The second place is a place of work, या बच्चों के लिए उनका school. And third place is somewhere in a public setting where people gather to share thoughts, meet new people and build community. Think Central Park for Friends, or the McLaren pub in How I Met Your Mother, or Abdul Ki Soda shop in Tarak Mehta. Think of your local hangout spots, somewhere that you are regular at, could be a corner shop, society ka garden, your gym or a cafe. Ray Oldenburg actually mentions a few characteristics of these third places. So let's discuss these. First, it should be on a neutral ground. So first place, your home, is an informal space. You do whatever you want to do. Second is a more structured place, a formal workspace. And third is kind of a neutral ground. Also in the sense that there is no obligation to be there. You are free to come and go as you please. Again, फ्रेंड्स का एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं तो कोई भी कभी भी कैफ़े में आता था. मे बी देयर इज समवन ऑलरेडी देयर, मे बी नॉट, बट देयर इज़ नो एक्सपेक्टेशन ऑफ एवरीबडी इन द ग्रुप टू बी देयर एट अ सर्टेन टाइम. Still, as a counter argument, I would say that there's somewhat a developed pattern. If you are a regular at a place, you might have a certain time around when you might visit that place. जैसे तारक मेहता में रोज़ रात को खाने के बाद सोसाइटी के हस्बैंड्स सोडा शॉप पे मिलते थे. कोई एग्जैक्ट टाइम नहीं है, बट देयर इज़ अ टाइम फ्रेम ज़रूर है जिसके बीच में देयर एक्सपेक्टेंसी ऑफ बीइंग इन दैट प्लेस इज़ हायर. Second, it should be a leveling place. Your socio-economic status does not matter when you're present in that space. Although, there can be some prerequisites to be a part of certain spaces. जैसे society के community halls are restricted to be used only by those living in that particular society. क्योंकि वो society की property है, you got the point. In short, your status might not matter within a third place, but could be matter of deciding whether you are or not a fit to be a part of a particular third place, if that makes sense. Third is having conversation as the main activity. Well, one of the main activities. The goal is to have interactions, having human connections, exchange of thoughts. This might not be the only main activity. Obviously, if you are in a pub, you'll most definitely be eating or drinking something alongside having a conversation. There can be days when you're in your own thoughts, sitting alone in a cafe, but essentially these places are for community building and sharing thoughts and opinions. So conversations should be on the forefront. Another point is that this place should be accommodating and accessible. Accommodating refers to fulfilling the needs of regulars and being open to accepting newcomers. Being accessible, on the other hand, means that the place should be open and readily accessible. But as we know, most places won't be open 24/7. So थोड़ा सा बदल देते हैं definition को. And let's say if you go at a reasonable hour, the place is expected to be open for you. Now for me, this is a very important feature of a third place. It is the fact that it has a low profile. This is a place for locals, not for tourist attractions. The place is meant to feel cozy, wholesome, lived in, and not polished and extravagant. These places are not pretentious and could easily be overlooked by non-locals, making it more of if you know kind of place, which adds to its charm. The last two characteristics describe the mood and feel of this place. The place should have a playful nature. The tone of conversations should be light-hearted. हंसी मजाक चल रहा हो जैसे. And lastly, for occupants, this place should exude a feeling of a home away from home. They should feel like they belong there. So by now, I believe you have a clearer idea of what in a textbook context is considered a third place. You might have one that you'd consider your sacred third place. Not fancy, but it is your go-to place to have a good time mingling with people. Now let's discuss the potential benefits of having a third place, its historical importance, and why it is still relevant today. Historically, there were these communal spaces that could be considered a third place. Agoras or public squares in ancient Greek, tea houses in China, coffee houses in Europe, or the public bathhouses across the globe. These places would host people with different backgrounds, poets, philosophers, political figures, and even some common folks who otherwise would not be in such an interactive environment. These, in Oldenburg's words, all represent fundamental institutions of mediation between the individual and the larger society. In history, these places have been the birthplace of revolutions, where people meet to discuss current conditions and ideate, strategize, and plan movements against the oppressive rulers. Coffee houses in London were also the center of intellectual exchanges, as they hosted scholars, writers, and philosophers gathered to discuss topics of science, literature, art, and culture. But आज की बात करें तो, in today's day and age, what are the key benefits of having such a place? Number one is that it unites the neighborhood. You will get to know more about the individuals residing in your neighborhood. One can introduce themselves and increase their network of people naturally. It is also one of the very few places where you can see the mingling of old and young generations. It can give us a different perspective on things. It also gives you a sense of belonging, a sense of dependency, which gives you a rather different feeling of well-being. It is also easier to accomplish collective tasks as you have people from different backgrounds and skills all part of this neighborhood community. This reminds me of Gilmore Girls and how the town used to host and organize so many events with the help of its residents. You might not love everyone, but everyone हर event में हाथ बटाने तो आ ही जाते थे. I would say for the people of Stars Hollow, their market square was their typical third place. But for Gilmore Girls, the mother-daughter duo, it was also Luke's diner. Which brings out the fact that if you are part of such third places, you are more aware of the happenings in your local area. Events हो गए, local authorities के actions हो गए, या किसी को कोई help चाहिए, support चाहिए, you observe and participate in these local matters. And as documented historically, it fosters a place of social and political debates. There have been studies done which show the correlation between third places and psychological well-being of individuals. After COVID-19, the feeling of isolation, depression, and anxiety have skyrocketed. देखा जाए तो if you live alone or are retired, these public spaces would benefit and provide you with a place of relaxation and familiarity. And इतने benefits के बाद भी these third places are increasingly declining these days. People either don't have a space that they can call as their third place, और अगर मान लो है भी तो they are not willing to invest their time in it. But ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? तो थोड़े reasons भी समझते हैं. First is the biggest reason, I would say, inflation. Most third places require you to spend some amount of money for you to stay there. With the increase in prices all around, it's becoming harder to spend that money on regular basis. एक टाइम था जब हम रोज़ ट्यूशन के बाद कॉफ़ी पीने चले जाते थे, समोसा खाने चले जाते थे. And now that I'm living in London, I cannot afford to get a coffee outside every single day. Even for people who can, they choose not to. I've seen so many people earning big bucks but sticking to eating meal deals from Tesco for lunch, which cost you like £5, and not spending another £4-5 grabbing a coffee every day. They'd rather save that money. They'd rather walk or cycle to work on saving TFL charges and so on. And I cannot blame them. Second बात करते हैं capitalism की. A major reason for the decline of these third places. Over the past 2 decades, I would say, you must have noticed that things around you have changed a lot. Local coffee shops, food spots पर fast food chains खुल रहे हैं. And I'm not saying कि Starbucks जैसी chains third place नहीं बन सकती. I'm saying that these businesses are not here to build community or provide for the neighborhood. They are here to earn profits. Most places also try to optimize their customer turnover. And that's why there are little to no seats, so people would order takeaways and not dine in. And even if there are, it wouldn't be comfortable to sit on it for long hours. But are these the only reasons? If we go deeper, I think there are more reasons to it. The third factor is the shift in mindset. These days, people are opting out of the community because they don't want to deal with other people, different perspectives and older generation, all of which can be, well, difficult. मैं अपना example ले लेती हूँ. Back home, we have a sabhagrah or a community building for the neighborhood. People do not need a reason to go there. It is open to all and free to enter. It also hosts all sort of gatherings, be it blood donation camps, yoga workshops, spiritual practices, even vaccination drives. But what I've seen is that the way my father's generation is devoted to the place and the community is nowhere to be seen in my generation. मुझे ही कोई बोल दे to take part in some program and I would find a million excuses to get out of the situation. But why is that? One is because we have created these walls between different generations and even subgroups within it. It is not my father's generation and my generation. No. Between me and my siblings, we all belong to different generations. Millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, Baby Boomers. हर कुछ साल में तो generations के नाम बदल रहे हैं. And we are generalizing and discriminating between these groups to the point that mingling between these subgroups becomes even harder. Oh, तुम्हारी generation तो ऐसी है. And हाँ ये देखो इसका Gen Z behavior. Now these are all the phrases we use these days. Teenagers अलग है, young adults अलग हैं. उसमें भी if you are married, you prefer hanging out with other married couples, creating another subgroup. People of all age groups and different backgrounds coming together on a neutral ground is becoming tougher nowadays. Another factor contributing to the shift in mindset is that people are more individualistic in their thinking these days. They find things to do and people to connect with only if it serves them. They want to see a return on their investment. Just think about it. While volunteering for a cause, are you doing it because you actually want to help or because it would look good on your CV or social media? We filter out people based on how they can serve us rather than think of ways we can serve the society. And सोचे भी क्यों ना, क्योंकि time कहाँ है किसी के पास. We all are in this hustle culture with a million things to do. We want to be productive, have multiple jobs. We want, well, not multiple jobs, but multiple sources of income, I would say. We cannot afford to waste our time hanging around or putting our energy in these communal activities. And don't get me wrong, it is good to stay productive and have multiple sources of income, especially in this economy. But we cannot disregard the fact that we are losing a lot as a society trying to build better individual identities. And lastly is the impact of COVID-19. Pandemic ने सब कुछ ही change कर दिया था. Both good and bad came out of it. In this context, because the lockdowns and social distancing, individuals' connection to places and people was disrupted. A lot of these third places were out of business. Even after things started to open up, we saw people opting out and working from home instead, getting things delivered to them, spending days on end without leaving their homes. As a result, there's an overlap of home, their first place, and offices, their second place. There is minimal human interaction, fewer gatherings, and even more dependency on technology to achieve those things. Want to grab a coffee? Why not pre-order it on the app? बस collection window से जाके collect कर लेंगे. Why be physically present in a workshop when you can choose to stay home and join virtually? Commute का time और पैसा भी बच जाएगा. And because of these increasing dependency on technology, हमने उसी की help लेकर अपने लिए third place का एक सस्ता alternative निकाला है. Social media. With the change in mindset, we now only socialize with like-minded individuals or groups. And where do we find them? Social media. Instagram pages, Discord chats, Facebook groups. We have more virtual hangout groups than in-person meetups. So we can easily say that social media is the new third place. But is this solving the purpose or creating new problems? चलो ये भी discuss कर लेते हैं. One of the problems for missing third places was inflation and rising prices. In this area, social media wins, as it is practically free to have an account and then you can find communities and connect with others in no time. You just need to have a smart device and an internet connection, which is, well, most people के पास आजकल होता ही है, and would not break your bank. You can also be anywhere and everywhere and be online at the same time. But here things get somewhat interesting. So if you are working from home and social media is like your getaway, then you're spending most of your time at your home, combining your first, second and third space. Now this is not ideal situation, and because there's no segregation, and as a result you see your work-life balance being disrupted. You are online when you should be working, you are working when you should be spending time with the family. But social media is not at fault here. It is us who need to put boundaries even when the entire world is within our home. Now, this can also negatively affect if you live alone. Humans are social beings, and while social media can act like a resource to feel less isolated and to find your people, what we see is the direct opposite. There is a massive increase in anxiety, depression, stress, and loneliness worldwide. Part of it is linked to the increase of social media usage by young adults. So, although virtual connections serve the due purpose, they cannot replace the bonds shared in real life relationships. Still, we find that we are more comfortable sharing our unique selves, our point of view, our feelings online than in person. Now, coming back to individualism, with social media, it is now easy to look for niche online groups that either serve you or align with your belief systems. Think about it. No matter what your interests are or way of life is, you can find a group that share the same sentiment and can be used to bond over it. But it comes with its drawbacks. One of that is that most of the part, the common thing will be the topic of conversations, and rarely would any deep connections be born out of it, because mostly you're talking about that one topic. The focus is not on members but on this common interest. Another major drawback I feel is the reluctance to be considerate or being flexible or open to others' viewpoints, because हम जैसा environment चाहते हैं, जैसे लोगों से connections चाहते हैं, जैसी communities चाहते हैं, सब हमें social media के through मिल रहा है. But real life is not the same, and because people around you don't align with your ideologies, are not your ideal kind of people, the conditions around you are not ideal for you, so you start to disengage yourself with the world and spend more time online, where your ideas are validated and you don't need to bend your way to accommodate or even deal with other people. So while finding your community online is great and I'm all for it, I do believe that this is not the solution and cannot replace having a physical third place. For me, I believe today more than ever, we need more such places to foster real life community building, which would in turn come with its own set of benefits. And that brings us to the end of this video. God, that was a lot of talking, but yeah, I shared all that I wanted to on this topic of third places. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below, and also let me know how this episode was. What do you think of this new series, and what topic should I pick for the next episode? And I know this was scripted, I prepared a lot for this video well in advance, but let me know if a less structured, more of a live chat approach sounds better. I'm just afraid that I won't be able to articulate my feelings, or I won't have as many thoughts live, I'd say, and keeping it casual might take away from the value aspect. But let me know, what do you think? Feedbacks would be helpful. And yeah, finally, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your time, and if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.